So I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 38. I was sitting in my car. I think I was outside of like Ulta or something. And I pulled down, the little mirror visor to like look at your face. And the sunlight hit my face at like this perfect angle. And that's when I saw them. These deep carved lines between my eyebrows that I could literally run my finger over and feel the grooves. I am not lying to you when I tell you that I started crying right there in that parking lot. Crying. That was me. That was me. So today I'm going to show you exactly how I erased the lines that everyone said were permanent. And if you have 11s, horizontal lines on your forehead, or any dynamic lines on your face, wrinkles of any kind, this will change your skin forever. Take a look at my before, take a look at my after. I'm telling y'all, I fixed my 11s, you can too. So let me tell you how I did it, because you're going to want to watch this today. So first of all, right, those lines that I had that day, right, those were creeping up for several years. And I'm talking, I had lines in my late 20s. But that day in the car mirror with the harsh sunlight, I could not deny any longer that these were becoming a permanent part of my face. I'd always had really clear, kind of smooth skin. I was not a person who stayed in the sun, right? And so I was like so freaked out that I had this massive wrinkle in the middle of my forehead. That wasn't all that was wrong with my skin, by the way. You could skydive in my pores. I could name a million things. My skin was a wreck. And those 11s were there to prove it was a wreck. So remember that at this time, I was in the middle of a terrible marriage. My self-esteem was at rock bottom. And now I felt like my face was sort of betraying me too. So here's that moment that taught me sometimes you have to hit rock bottom in order to find your strength. And that day I made a promise to myself. I said, these lines are not permanent. I refuse to believe that they are permanent. I was going to learn everything that I could about skin and how to change the skin and prove that transformation is possible. And I just want to show you the before and afters again, because I erased these lines. So let's get down to how I actually did it, because here's what I learned that kind of changed everything. These aren't just wrinkles, they're actually called dynamic wrinkles. And dynamic wrinkles aren't all bad after all. Smiles create dynamic wrinkles too, even though we hate those smile lines, but we don't want to stop smiling. So every time you frown, squint, or furrow your brow, you are carving those lines deeper into your skin. And the lines between the brows, yeah, we don't want those. No. So let's talk about what's really happening when you have those dynamic wrinkles. Dynamic wrinkles, that is the term for lines that form from repeated muscle movements. These are the ones that start as temporary creases and become permanent through a process called collagen fragmentation. And really what that does is, in plain English, think of your skin like a rubber band. When you're young, it snaps back perfectly, right? But repeated stretching starts to break down those elastic fibers, and eventually the folds kind of stay put. And if you've ever seen a rubber band that's old and used, you'll see that those little lines are there, right? The same thing happens to your collagen. The corrugator supercilii muscles create vertical lines right through your medial eyebrow pulling, okay? And pushing in on that muscle. So also the same thing happens with your frontalis muscles, and it creates those horizontal forehead lines, right, as you raise your eyebrows or lower them. So those are dynamic wrinkles. They're the same kind that form when you smile, the same kind that form when you frown, right? So those are the muscles that we're trying to get rid of. The corrugator muscles, they create this muscle memory. They actually have a muscle memory, and you contract them automatically, like even when you sleep. So breaking muscle memory is the first key to erasing these lines forever. You've got to break that muscle memory. I discovered that there are really 3 ways to break muscle memory depending on your budget and what you're willing to do. Of course, the first one is the medical route, right? Botox. Botox literally paralyzes the muscle and eventually leads to muscle atrophy that weakens the muscle and shrinks it over time. There is also the natural route. If you want to go the natural route, you're going to have to do 2 things, right? You're going to have to do naturals and peptides, because the natural route is where you consciously break that muscle memory and retrain it using, right, conscious effort and face tape. The third thing that you're going to want to do to break that muscle memory is Korean neuropeptides that block the nerve signals. And I'll tell you all about how to get these, what products to use, and all of that in a second when we start talking about that. So after years of testing, this is the protocol that totally erased my own 11s. And the first thing that I did was making sure that I reduced muscle movement or muscle memory. So before I got Botox, I actually started with taping. So you know that the tape, like the kinesthetic tape? Yeah, I just used that. That's all, just tape. And I think they make like little frownies or something. I just used tape. I didn't have a lot of money and kept conscious effort to kind of stop that muscle from working. The Corrugator supercilii, which is the scientific term for that muscle, is incredibly strong. Mine was bulky. It was actually huge. You could kind of see it when I turned to the side. You could see the muscle like poking out. It was that big. I mean, it was like used all the time. I would furrow at everything. I would furrow when I was reading, when I was walking, when I was emphasizing something I said. I knew the first thing that I had to do was stop that right now. So I used facial state taping at night to prevent that unconscious frowning and spent months training myself to catch and release that brow tension throughout the day. And so what I would do is I would catch myself using it, and then I would immediately pull my knuckles right here and just massage. That's gonna really just like take that tension right away. Not kidding. And the deeper you go with that, and if you move your hand up when you do it, you're going to totally relax that muscle. So that's kind of the first thing to breaking that memory if you don't want to go the Botox route. So I eventually chose Botox later on. I think I got Botox the first time about 3 years ago. Botox helped make that muscle atrophy, that shrinking, happen a lot quicker than it would have just with the face tape. But here's the truth, muscle atrophy will happen even if you're consistent with stopping muscle contractions. So it doesn't matter if you have the Botox or not, that muscle atrophy will happen if you stop using that muscle. It will eventually start to atrophy and weaken and get smaller, just like if you don't use your biceps. Botox just accelerates that process. So even with Botox, if you're going to go the natural route, you must absolutely regularly relax that muscle. The muscle develops such intense memory patterns that it will try to contract even when you are sleeping. And I'm not kidding. Even when you're sleeping, it will do that. So that's why I do the 2 to 3 minutes of tension relaxing massage no matter what every single evening. It's non-negotiable. I'll throw a couple of massages into the description box. You don't need to follow it perfectly. Just kind of look at the ones that break that tension and start doing those. Just focus on releasing the Corrugator supercilii muscle. All you have to do is a gentle kind of knuckle massage, kind of all along here, all up here. And I'll put that video in the description box. Now, if you use Botox, all you have to do is that Botox and massage and you are totally fine, right? But if you do use the taping method with the peptides, you're gonna need to make sure that you use specific peptides. The first one you want is Argireline. You can get a cheap version. I'll put it down in the description box right here. Pop it up. There you go. The second thing you need is called Synake. Synake. It's kind of a short for snake, because like snake venom, think snake venom, right? That's a Korean peptide. This is also supposed to help relax the muscles. Argireline is probably your cheapest one at about 10 bucks. That's gonna be your cost saving method right there. And then the other one is Snap 8. And that's also in a lot of Korean, or in a few Korean skincare brands. And that is going to also relax the muscle. I'll say Argireline is your good go-to. After all, it reduces muscle strength and movement by 48%, so that's pretty huge. I would not tape without using those peptides every day, morning and night. There you have the muscle relaxing part of the program. So while that muscle is relaxed, I rebuild the collagen with 3 key treatments. So the first thing I do is regularly microneedle. So monthly microneedling actually creates controlled micro injuries that trigger up to 400% increase in collagen production over the next 3 to 6 months. And by doing that monthly, I am storing up and building up that collagen so that I can have it and it can start to rebuild and reshape the skin all on my face over several months. So this literally rebuilds the structural support in those deep grooves. I'm a huge fan of microneedling. If that's something that seems scary to you, you can do cosmetic needling instead. Weekly cosmetic needling helps skincare products you use penetrate deeper. It also helps your fibroblasts to create new healthy collagen and elastin fibers and bundles. So these can be done in place of monthly microneedling, or you can do it in addition. But I say microneedling, cosmetic needling, that is the first thing that you want if you are trying to rebuild the collagen structures and get rid of deep wrinkles in your skin. Now, if you want more information on microneedling and how to do it, I have so many microneedling videos. I'll put a couple in the description box. Monthly peels also accelerate cellular turnover and stimulate fibroblasts, and those are the cells that produce your collagen. And the controlled exfoliation actually forces your skin to generate new and fresh collagen fibers. So you would just alternate the microneedling and the peels. And if you want any information on how I schedule my treatments, please check out my treatments video because you are going to want to try those. Now, if you want more information on peels, go ahead and check the description box because I am going to put a couple peel videos in there. Chemical peels are so wonderful for your skin. Okay, so the third thing that I do use is retinoid. So I always use, well, right now I use Tretinoin, which is the gold standard. That's the potent form of vitamin A that directly stimulates collagen synthesis. If you can't get prescription strength, retinaldehyde also works faster than regular retinol by being gentler than Tretinoin. And then you could also go to retinol. I prefer to use adapalene. That's what I used before I started Tretinoin, and it is the over-the-counter form of vitamin A. Your body only has to have one step to convert it, so it's pretty easy to get that vitamin A content out of it. And honestly, you need to be using that. Watch my regular nighttime skincare routine if you want any advice on what to do as far as skincare goes, because you still got to be doing all the skincare every day to make that wrinkle go away. Let me be honest about the timeline. How fast will this be? This isn't a 30-day miracle. If you're gonna go the peptide route, that could be anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. It always takes about 3 to 6 months for collagen remodeling to sort of happen. So you're looking at seeing a real difference in your wrinkle starting around the 3-month mark if you follow this protocol. Now, that's not overnight, but I'm telling you, I really did it. Month 1, I could really feel that muscle tension releasing. By the 3rd month, I did start to see softening of my 11s visible. And since then, because I follow this protocol, I've been following this protocol for years, right? And now my wrinkle is practically non-existent. I mean, I will never forget my esthetician. She could not believe that I had been able to completely eliminate my 11s, like pretty much. Like they're there, but they're barely there now. This absolutely 100% works. The difference between people who succeed and those who don't, consistency. I never missed my daily skincare routine or my treatments, and I don't miss them to this day because I remember every second that I don't want to do it. I remember how I felt that day at the car. Without regular muscle relaxation and treatments and peptides, none of this will work. You're fighting against one of the strongest muscles in your face. So if you're where I was, staring at that line, feeling super defeated, I want you to know that transformation is possible. Let's look at these pictures again. your skin is capable of incredible healing. You renew your skin every 28 days. And if you give it the right tools and enough time, I'm telling you, you can really turn your skin around. Take a photo of your 11s today, screenshot this video. In 6 months, I want you to come back and show me your transformation, because I know that you can do this just like I did. So what's your biggest wrinkle concern? Tell me in the comment box. Let me know. Are you trying to get rid of your 11s too? Share this. Also share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. I have made so many changes in my skin, and I feel like I have really turned back time. Even though my skin isn't perfect and my face isn't perfect, we are not perfect, and that's okay. Right? I still look great for almost 50, and you will too if you follow my protocol. So let me know. How are you going to change your wrinkle? You have the power, you have the attitude, and I'll see you next time on Glow with Shelly.